One vlog ends and another begins. Welcome to day 5 and 6 of Romantasyathon. At this point, you probably know what Romantasyathon is, but I will leave all of the information down in the description box. It's hosted by Tori from Tori Between Pages, and we are getting ready to go to the Starfall Ball. I have now got the 2 men fighting over me. I know what I'm going to be wearing, and I am currently working on what I'm going to be. I am attempting to be a witch because I love to have all of the powers, but I need to finish Rebel Witch in order to be able to do that. So this is absolutely first on the docket. I have gotten about 30% of the way in so far. If you want to see my initial thoughts, you can head over to the previous vlog, but you don't have to have watched that in order to watch this one. I will catch you guys up for sure. Once I'm home this afternoon, I will give you guys a quick update on what Heartless Hunter is about, but it is actually snowed again, which is insane. Alabama doesn't get snow once, much less, what, 3 times in a year? This is not nearly the like giddy amazing snow that we had in my previous vlog. It's only like an inch and a half, but for us, like, I can see snow. It's not just a dusting. Like, we have a layer of snow outside, but I still have to go to work, and I don't have snow tires, and I'm not sure if they salted the roads, so it could be an interesting drive to work. I might be dog sledding. We'll see. But I do need to get going because it's probably going to take me a lot longer than usual to get there. I already told them I'm going to be late, so it's not like I'm going to be in a hurry or anything. Don't worry, I will be safe, but I should probably make the attempt. I will be listening to this on my way to work though. The audiobook for this is amazing. I'm having a great time. She does talk kind of slow, so I bumped up the speed a little bit, but I'm really enjoying the way that she is portraying these characters. It's not dual narration, even though it is technically dual point of view, but that's not bothering me at all. And normally I really want a dual narration when it's a guy and a female, but in this it's not bothering me a bit to have just her. And then once I'm finished with that, I will let you guys know what the mystery book is, which was not even intended to be a mystery book. It just kind of turned out that way for my love triangle trope.
I got this boy on my mind that I can't live without. Oh, his eyes are killing me. And he keeps talking about everything that he likes, and I can't stop listening.
I made it safely to work. It was a little bit slick in certain spots, but it really wasn't too bad. I'm kind of hoping that some of my patients don't show up today and it'll make it a really easy day where I can just sit back and read, but we'll see. I have made it further into Rebel Witch though. I am getting close to halfway. Not quite, but I'm getting close. The mutual pining in this is, oh my God, like, I cannot handle these two. Chapter 23, he gets a little jealous and like, incredible. I'm having the best time. There's definitely moments where it feels like it's lulling a little bit, but I don't care. I just need more moments of the two of them. Like, they're together, so all of the moments of the two of them, but I need like moments of the two of them, you know? And I'm having the best time. I cannot wait to get on Discord and squeal about it because like, they're so cute together. I finished Rebel Witch and I had to sit on my thoughts for just a little while. I wanted my rating to kind of percolate a little bit before I gave you guys final thoughts on this. I think I'm still a little unsure about my final rating. It's a 4 or 4.5. I had a great time with this book. Yes, there are definitely some things that probably could have been improved upon to make it a 5-star read for me, but I loved the mutual pining that we had between our characters. Honestly, the back and forth worked for me. It's not going to work for everybody. If you don't like characters that are constantly pushing and pulling at one another and not really able to commit to what they want, this is not going to be the book for you, but I ate it up. I thought that it was so much fun and really like made sense to me in the way that the characters were handling things because of the way that book 1 ended. I didn't think that we could just snap our fingers and everybody would be okay again, and I'm glad that we weren't. I've had a really big complaint about that in a lot of books recently, where the resolution to a very big problem in the previous book happens at the drop of a hat, and that really wasn't the case in here, especially in the relationships between the two characters. Took some time to get there. My biggest complaint though is that this was too fast. I think that for me, some of the things were just like happening, and I really wanted us to slow down and not smell the roses, but expand on things a little bit. And I think that the ending needed to be a little bit more set up is not exactly the word that I'm looking for, but a little bit more set up in some of those like character motivations and things to make the reveals make more sense to me, because there were a couple of reveals at the end and I wanted that, oh, I see that moment. And for some of those, I didn't really feel that that way, it kind of felt like it was coming out of the blue for me. I do wish that that had slowed down, taken its time to really find its footing a little bit in the ending. Was the ending like the best ending of all time? No, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it wrapped up really, really well. I love Kristen Cicerelli's writing style. It's very easy to sink into while also being a more like unique setting and lots of fun from what I've been reading previously. So I think that this one just really worked for me in a lot of ways. And again, I loved the banter between the two of them. Honestly, that was like chef's kiss amazing, made the whole book for me. There were moments where I was like, oh my God, like I loved it. So definitely that's what made the book for me. So yeah, 4.5 star, had a great time with this. Would highly recommend this duology as a whole. This was not one of those books for me where like book 1 was amazing and book 2 I could have never read and been perfectly happy with. I think this was a good like follow up to Heartless Hunter, and I am excited to see what she's gonna put out next. I don't know if I'm gonna go back and read her last Namasara. I think that's the title of the series that she's written before. For some reason that one, it just doesn't interest me much, but I'm very curious to see what the author's going to do in the future. I think it's going to be so much fun, and I would highly recommend this series. I'm going to go get changed. I actually just stepped in from work, and I meant to film this vlog clip last night, but I messed around and did not do it. So I'm going to go get out of my work clothes and get ready for sprints. We're going to do Romantasyathon sprints over on my channel tonight, and there's going to be more sprints if you are watching this tomorrow. I guess is when this is supposed to go live. There will be more sprints on Friday morning, as well as I think Saturday there's going to be closing sprints. So check out Tori's announcement video that I will leave in the description box so that you guys can follow Olive the host and her Instagram and find out when those sprints are. But anyway, I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go set up, and then I'll be back because I've actually started another book and I'm dying to talk to you guys about it. So I am pretty much ready for sprints now. I went ahead and did my walk. We have a group chat where we kind of try to hold each other all accountable for getting in a 10-ish minute walk at minimum a day. I usually try to go outside and walk Ollie, but it's like 28 degrees outside, so that is not happening today. So I walked on my indoor walking pad, which is not my favorite. I usually get bored, but I watched a little bit of The Resident while I did it, and it went by relatively quickly. It's still not my favorite thing in the whole wide world to do, but like it must be done. We are trying to be healthier this year, and I ate chicken fries for dinner, so we had to make up for it somehow. Today I did start Servant of Earth though. This is a book that I've been hearing so much about, and all positive things really. I don't think I've heard anybody say anything negative about this book, and so I was like, okay, I really need to get to it. I've heard it described as a love triangle, so since we have our two men, we have to be in the middle of a love triangle. So that is the trope that I'm going to be going to the ball with. In this world we have fae, but the fae are very mysterious. We don't really know a lot about them, and not very many people have actually seen them. But once every 6 years there is basically an exchange that happens where 4 girls are sent to the fae kingdom to be in service or do who knows what, and in return the fae provide protection to the human world. And Kenna and her best friend have never been chosen. They've never really had to worry about it. She's just trying to make sure that they have food on the table. When her best friend is chosen and she is determined that she's not going to let her do it alone, some things happen, and Kenna essentially ends up in the fae realm as a human servant, and she is the servant to one of the heirs of the Earth Court, and she has to help her survive 6 deadly trials in order to become powerful and to keep her seat in the Earth Court. And I was a little unsure when I first started this book. Like, I was enjoying it. I was having a good time with it, but I wasn't completely sold. I was like, okay, this feels 4 star, 3.5, 4 star. I'm having a really good time. But somewhere in about the 15-20% mark, when they actually got to where the synopsis starts of the book, which is where she got to the kingdom, I started having a really good time with this. I'm about 30% of the way in so far. I meant to update you guys sooner than that, but I just did not want to stop reading while I was at work today. And I don't know what it is about it. Like, the writing is fine. It's not spectacular, but it's good. The main character is interesting, but not like amazing. But for some reason, I am so sucked into this book. It has a few like horror elements, which I was not expecting. The fae are definitely very ruthless, and I'm so curious to see what all of these trials are going to entail, how that's going to work out, and what the different like kingdoms have, and what the like political maneuverings, I guess, are in all of these kingdoms. I haven't gotten to the love triangle part yet. I think I've met one of the potential love interests, but I don't know that I've gotten to both of them. And right now, this does not feel like a romantasy. It feels like a fantasy that is going to have romance. So I'm curious if the romance is going to amp up a little bit, or if it's going to continue to feel much more like a fantasy with romantic elements rather than a true romantasy where the romance is the forefront. Because right now at 30%, I feel like if the romance was front and center, then I should have already gotten that, but I haven't really yet. So I am curious how that all is going to play out. And I think it'll make me enjoy the book more when it comes in. I have a feeling that's going to be my biggest complaint, is that there's not enough romance in here, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I'm very curious because the trials are about to start and I am dying. I'm on the edge of my seat to find out about this labyrinth trial because it sounds really, really interesting. And I'm like, wait, what's going to happen? How is this going to work? There's like these fae called nasties, and essentially they're like these lower fae that are basically beast. And I'm like, yes, I want to know more about the nasties. Please and thank you. I have now gotten to halfway in Servant of Earth and we are finding the romance. It's not strong, but it is definitely there. I've had a couple of people tell me like they consider it definitely a romance fantasy, but not always romantasy. For the purposes of this readathon, it is a romantasy, and I've heard it like has spice, and that honestly good enough for me. There are two guys that are kind of vying for her attention, so I see the love triangle inspiration. We're counting it, we're going with it. I am in love triangle for the ball. Other than that, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on this right now. I'm just vibing. I do wish that the trials had a little bit more stakes to them. At one point they say that they're not going to do anything to like really harm them because they're fae and they don't want to kill their own fae. But also in the beginning, it's implied that if they don't win all of the trials, that they'll both be killed. So I'm a little confused by that aspect because I'm like, aren't these supposed to be deadly trials? But they are and they aren't. So I wish I wish they were deadly trials. Like I want there to be a few more stakes than what has happened so far. But maybe the deadly trials are coming because we've only gotten through 3, I think, so far, and there's still 3 to go, so I'm assuming they get harder and harder and more deadly as they go. I've liked them so far. I think that they've been fun trials. Are they my favorite trials that I've ever read? Not necessarily, but I'm also like really vibing with this. I want to pick it back up. I want to continue reading it. It flows in a way that just like has me on the edge of my seat wanting to know what's going to happen next. It's not moving so fast that I feel like I can't keep my bearings, but it's constantly like something is happening, so I'm never bored. The world building in this is really, really interesting, and these fae are brutal. Like to an extent, I would call this a darker fantasy because there are some things that are happening where I'm like, oh, ugh. And not all of it's on page, but there are definitely some gruesome moments in here. If you have triggers, check them. But overall, like, I'm having the best time with this. So I'm going to stop yapping so that I can go read. It is cozy up in bed and read time. But before I do that, this book is brutal at points. Like, my jaw dropped. I was on the edge of my seat trying to figure out what the heck was about to happen. Like, this king, he's awful. He is absolutely awful. And I'm living for every second of it. Like, these fae are definitely not kind for the most part. There are some kind, but typically they are just ruthless. I am enjoying like the found family friendships that we're having in here though. I think that that's really interesting. And like the dynamics between the fae themselves. So it's not just they don't like humans and they're not good to humans. That's not, I mean, that definitely is the case, but that's not like the whole point. There's definitely a lot of turmoil in between the houses as well. And I'm finding those dynamics to be very, very interesting, like how they're treating her versus how they treat other fae, I think is really interesting as well. I am wanting to get to a couple more of the trials. We've kind of lulled from the trials at this point, but I'm not minding those in-between moments. I'm still really, really enjoying those because I'm on the edge of my seat just waiting to see what's going to happen next for the majority of this book. And I know I was complaining about the lack of stakes before. I think right now for me that is specifically isolated to the trials because the rest of this book still feels like it could have some stakes. I don't feel like everybody is safe. I don't feel like nothing's gonna happen to any of these fae. Clearly people will die. Clearly people will be traumatized and horrible things are happening, not just to humans. So there are definitely stakes in here. It's just at the trials right now, I'm waiting for more stakes. But I'm having a great time. We have had a little bit more romance even coming in now. I see where the love triangle came in for sure. I definitely have a preference, and it's of course the one that is the least nice of the two because we know I love me a toxic man. Like, that's just, Give me the toxic guys in fiction all day long. Give me the cinnamon rolls in real life. But anyway, I normally don't lay in bed and read. I normally watch TV, and I probably will watch a little bit of TV, but like I really want to know what's going to happen next. It's the next morning, and I finished Servant of Earth. I loved this book. I know I was having some nitpicky complaints yesterday, but like I just could not put this down. There was something about it that was so addictive. And honestly, this had every buzzword for me in it, all of my favorite tropes. We had voice in the head, we had rebellion, we had a love triangle, we had a strong female lead, we had found friendships, like so many things in here that I was eating up. Trials, and I just honestly, I had the best time with this. I don't know why I hadn't picked it up before now, because honestly, like I cannot believe that I was sleeping on this book. If you have not read it yet and you have similar reading taste to me, you like all of the tropes that I mentioned, pick this book up because it was so good. Yes, there were a few things that I felt like could have been done, just tweaked ever so slightly, but overall I feel like this book was solid. It was so good, so entertaining, and I cannot wait for the sequel. I think I'm gonna give this a 4.5 star. I didn't want to put it down. I was having the best time, but there was just something about it that is holding me back from that full 5 star. I don't really know exactly what it is. Like I think part of it is the romance, and I told you guys that was probably going to be my biggest issue in the beginning, is I really liked the kind of romance aspects, and I love the way it ended and how all of that kind of came up, but I don't necessarily think that this is like, it is enough of a romance to call it a romantasy, I think, but it isn't like romance heavy, and I kind of wish that it had been. I wish that love triangle had been a little bit more prominent, a little bit more push and pull, and I think that would have had me like kicking my feet and squealing over the banter would have made this a full 5 star, but like I'm still giving it a 4.5 stars, so I still thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't that big of a complaint, but that probably is my biggest complaint overall. Yeah, I think that's going to be my biggest complaint. But if you have not read this, I'm strongly encouraging you to pick this up. I'm so glad that I was determined to do the love triangle so that I could read this, because it definitely paid off. Now we are moving into the final 2 days of Romantasyathon. I cannot believe that it's almost over. I told Tori it needs to be like months long so that I had an excuse to read Romantasy all the time. However, I do that anyway, so I don't know that I actually need it to be that long, but I am having the best time. We have got our men, we've got our trope, we've got our dress, but I still need to have a weapon, because honestly, not having a weapon makes me feel more naked than not having the dress. So that is going to be the #1 priority for the next couple of days. Thank you guys so very much for watching. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me a snowflake emoji down in the comments below. If you did not get to see any of my previous vlogs for Romantasyathon, I will leave them over here on the screen for you guys to check out. Stay tuned for the final 2 days where I will be reading for my weapon. See you guys in the next one. Bye!